turned the whole rebellion around. Do you notice how she's the only one not complaining? It's because she understands the power of that screen. I'm keeping my mouth shut because I see that this will make getting me accidentally killed so much harder, but I don't point that out. Underscore 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 underscore. After 3 days in the capital, much of Squad 451 is close to deserting out of boredom. Cressida and her team take shots of us firing. They tell us we're part of the disinformation team. If the rebels only shoot Plutarch's pods, it will take the capital about 2 minutes to realize we have the holograph. So there's a lot of time spent shattering things that don't matter, to throw them off the scent. Mostly we just add to the piles of rainbow glass that's been blown off the exteriors of the candy-colored buildings. I suspect they are intercutting this footage with the destruction of significant capital targets. On the 4th day, we wake up to find Olive and Johanna have disappeared. They can't have gotten far. Jackson says they only have paper maps. Boggs checks his holo, running his hand over his face. You better hope they got far. The other option is they're already dead. Where would they even go? League 1 demands. Every other squad would know to take them back. I bite my lip. Consider the 2 women. I feel I know them well enough to know where they'll be headed. They're going to kill Snow. That's insane, League 2 says, so honestly surprised I can't help but laugh, almost hysterically. Kashmir just smiles. Well, that's victors for you. Boggs looks over the paper maps we have, then compares it to the holo. I'm assuming they gathered what they could while I had the holo on. I'm following their most likely route. I'm coming. We all say it simultaneously. Boggs doesn't bother arguing. Underscore 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 underscore. 2 days. We have been searching for 2 days. Tracking through broken windows and activated pods, which could be anyone. They could be dead. They are probably dead. No one brings this up. We keep moving. The crew keeps filming, but makes sure not to show anything that might give away our location. No one tells 13 that we left our posts. No one brings that up, either. We're about to settle down for the night when it happens. Jackson takes a step to the left and everything turns to hell around us. She's dead before she hits the floor. League 1 is staring at the place where her own arm used to be, not moving an inch. I lunge forward to drag her back, uselessly. The explosion's over. Holmes gets a bandage on the stump of her arm. The debris starts raining down and sets off more pods as it hits. Kashmir's yelling something, gesturing to the end of the block where we entered. Black, oily matter spouts like a geyser from the street, billowing between the buildings, creating an impenetrable wall of darkness. It seems to be neither liquid nor gas, mechanical nor natural. Surely it's lethal. There's no heading back the way we came. Deafening gunfire as Gale and League 2 begin to blast a path across the stones toward the far end of the block. I don't know what they are doing until another bomb, 10 yards away, detonates, opening a hole in the street. Then I realize this is a rudimentary attempt at minesweeping. We're running at full tilt, the black wall drawing closer. It has crested and begun to fall. Boggs shoots through the lock of a door. We rush inside, up a flight of stairs and into an apartment. The fumes. Mitchell yells and we grab anything we can reach to stuff into all cracks we find. We wait it out, because that's all we can do. League 1 starts crying quietly. I want to join her, but I know I won't stop if I start now. Once we can safely go outside, Boggs orders Mitchell and League 2 to take League 1 back to base and get her proper medical care. The rest of us keeps moving. There's no more talk of finding the others, though that still is officially why we keep moving. We move from house to house, avoiding the street and its cameras. I think everyone is certain they are dead now. If we can't make it with the holo, how could they be alive? They are fine, I tell Kashmir when we're on watch that night in another capital's apartment. I think she must understand. Must feel it, too. You don't survive the games and die in the capital streets. I suppose Dr. Aurelius would tell me I'm in denial. Kashmir just shrugs. Whatever keeps us heading towards the mansion. I want to see him choke on his own blood. Later, the television flickers to life for a mandatory viewing and we watch them report our own deaths. Boggs is grimly satisfied. That'll give us a while, until they notice our bodies are missing. Underscore 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 underscore. The next morning, I wake to find Castor and Pullers having an argument, or at least it looks like it from their body language. Boggs is right behind me. What's going on? I ask Pullers, as he's usually more likely to be straightforward. He's pale and looks horrified, but his hands are steady as he replies. I remembered something. I think I know where Olive and Johanna went. I told Olive about my punishment. I'm surprised. I didn't know he had anything done to him besides the avoxing, which is bad enough. But then I think of Lavinia and Darius and it makes sense. I don't interrupt Pullers. I think they're underground. I worked there. No pods during the day. We're underground within minutes of breaking camp. It's terrifying and I can see why Castor didn't want his brother coming back here. Under Pullers' guidance we make good time, remarkable time, if you compare it to our above-ground travel. After about 6 hours, fatigue takes over. It's 3 in the morning and they surely won't know we aren't dead yet. When I suggest we rest, no one objects. Pullers finds a small, warm room humming with machines loaded with levers and dials. He holds up his fingers to indicate we must be gone in 4 hours. Boggs works out a guard schedule, and, since I'm not on the first shift, I wedge myself in the tight space between Gale and Kashmir and go right to sleep. Shortly before 7, Pullers and I move among the others, rousing them. There are the usual yawns and sighs that accompany waking. But my ears are picking up something else, too. Almost like a hissing. Perhaps it's only steam escaping a pipe or the far-off whoosh of one of the trains. I hush the group to get a better read on it. There's a hissing, yes, but it's not one extended sound. More like multiple exhalations that form words. A single word. Echoing throughout the tunnels. One word. One name. Repeated over and over again. Primrose. The grace period has ended. Perhaps snow had them digging through the night. As soon as the fire died down, anyway. They found Jackson's remains, briefly felt reassured, and then, as the hours went by without further trophies, began to suspect. At some point, they realized that they had been tricked. And President Snow can't tolerate being made to look like a fool. It doesn't matter whether they tracked us to the second apartment or assumed we went directly underground. They know we are down here now and they've unleashed something, a pack of mutts probably, bent on finding me. Take in the anxious faces around me. Whatever it is, it's after me. It might be a good time to split up. But we're your guard, says Boggs. And your crew at Cressida. I'm not leaving you, Gale says. It's settled, and once again, we're running. We've covered a good distance when the screams start coming. Thick, guttural, echoing in the tunnels. The avoxes. The mutts'll kill anyone in their way. We keep moving. The hissing is growing louder and a stench of roses comes with it, so strong I almost gag. I grab Pullers' arm. Forget the mission. What's the quickest way above ground? There's no time for checking the hollow. We follow Pullers for about 10 yards along the transfer and go through a doorway. I'm aware of tile changing to concrete, of crawling through a tight, stinking pipe onto a ledge about a foot wide. We're in the main sewer. A yard below, a poisonous brew of human waste, garbage, and chemical runoff bubbles by us. Parts of the surface are on fire, others emit evil-looking clouds of vapor. One look tells you that if you fall in, you're never coming out. Moving as quickly as we dare on the slippery ledge, we make our way to a narrow bridge and cross it. In an alcove at the far side, Pullers smacks a ladder with his hand and points up the shaft. This is it. Our way out. A quick glance at our party tells me something's off. Wait. Where are Holmes and Kashmir? They stayed behind to hold the mutts back, says Boggs. What? I'm lunging back for the bridge, willing to leave no one to those monsters, when he yanks me back. Don't waste their lives, Prim. It's too late for them. Look. Holmes nods to the pipe, where the mutts are slithering onto the ledge. Stand back. Gale shouts. With his explosive tipped arrows, he rips the far side of the bridge from its foundation. The rest sinks into the bubbles, just as the mutts reach it. For the first time, I get a good look at them. A mix of human and lizard and who knows what else. White, tight reptilian skin smeared with gore, clawed hands and feet, their faces a mess of conflicting features. Hissing, shrieking my name now, as their bodies contort in rage. Lashing out with tails and claws, taking huge chunks of one another or their own bodies with wide, lathered mouths, driven mad by their need to destroy me. My scent must be as evocative to them as theirs is to me. More so, because despite its toxicity, the mutts begin to throw themselves into the foul sewer. Along our bank, everyone opens fire. Boggs shoves me towards the ladder and I begin climbing blindly, following pillars until we reach open space. I'm shaking, retching up everything in my stomach. Gale is shouting, loosing another arrow in the sewer and dragging Boggs out. I don't understand why they are struggling that much until I jump forward and see the mutt clinging to him. Cressida reacts faster than I can, ramming a knife into the thing's skull. Together, we help him off the ladder. Then Boggs is repeating Nightlock 3 times and dropping the hollow into the sewer to take out the remaining mutts. Pullers slams the lid shut, the explosion rocking the ground under our feet. I wipe my mouth and look at my squad. Boggs, Gale, Castor, Cressida and Pullers. We're all that's left. Messala? I ask, even though I realize there's no hope. Boggs shakes his head. Those things got a hold of him. I couldn't get to him. But you dropped the hollow, I break off. I can't really fault him for that decision. I close my eyes and nod. It was kinda that way. There's a few seconds of silence as we all attempt to work through what just happened. Then Cressida brings us back on track. We have to keep moving. And we'd better find some disguises first. All of Panem would recognize you people. She pauses, then shrugs. And half the capital me, I guess. We can head up here, Pullers says, indicating another ladder, of somewhat nicer make than the previous one. It should take us into an apartment. Stinking of sewage the way we do, I'm sure we need a shower as much as a disguise, but there isn't really much to be done about that. Once up the ladder, Boggs signals for us to stick back while he checks the apartment. He returns mere minutes later. It's clear. Come on. How long do you think we have before they figure out some of us could have survived? Gale asks. I think they could be here anytime, Boggs answers. They knew we were heading for the streets. Probably the explosion will throw them for a few minutes, then they'll start looking for our exit point. First thing we do is get everyone's wounds as fixed up as we can manage on what little time and supplies we have. The stitches I put in Castor's neck are provisional at best and Boggs should really be in surgery. I dig out 2 of the mutt's teeth from his leg and there's not enough skin left to even attempt stitches. Still, it's not as if we have any other choice. I go to a window that overlooks the street, and when I peek through the blinds, I'm not faced with peacekeepers but with a bundled crowd of people going about their business. During our underground journey, we have left the evacuated zones far behind and surfaced in a busy section of the capital. There's enough clothes for all of us here, Cressida says, and we all start putting together our disguises. As I'm rebraiding my hair to better stuff it under a wig, I turn to Boggs. Why are we still heading towards the mansion? It's where I want to head, but the price we have paid so far. We're in danger no matter where we go, Boggs says softly, apparently guessing why I asked. We might manage to join up with rebel forces this way, and possibly find soldiers Mason and Kentwell. I perk up at that. So you think they are still alive? I think it's too early to give up, he replies. But for now we best just keep moving. I nod, continuing to layer on my disguise. Before long, we're all ready to go. Stay together, Boggs says at the front door. Then we march right into the street. Snow flurries have begun to fall. Agitated people swirl around us, speaking of rebels and hunger and me in their affected capital accents. We cross the street, pass a few more apartments. Just as we turn the corner, 3 dozen peacekeepers sweep past us. We hop out of their way, as the real citizens do, wait until the crowd returns to its normal flow, and keep moving. Cressida, I whisper. Can you think of anywhere? I'm trying, she says. We cover another block, and the sirens begin. Through an apartment window, I see an emergency report and pictures of our faces flashing. They haven't identified who in our party died yet, because I see Messala and Kashmir among the photos. Soon every passerby will be as dangerous as a peacekeeper. Cressida. There's one place. It's not ideal. But we can try it, she says. We follow her a few more blocks and turn through a gate into what looks like a private residence. It's some kind of shortcut, though, because after walking through a manicured garden, we come out of another gate onto a small back street that connects 2 main avenues. There are a few pokey stores, one that buys used goods, another that sells fake jewelry. Only a couple of people are around, and they pay no attention to us. Cressida begins to babble in a high-pitched voice about fur undergarments, how essential they are during the cold months. Wait until you see the prices. Believe me, it's half what you pay on the avenues. We stop before a grimy storefront filled with mannequins in furry underwear. The place doesn't even look open, but Cressida pushes through the front door, setting off a dissonant chiming. Inside the dim, narrow shop lined with racks of merchandise, the smell of pelts fills my nose. Business must be slow, since we're the only customers. Cressida heads straight for a hunched figure sitting in the back. I follow, trailing my fingers through the soft garments as we go. Behind a counter sits the strangest person I've ever seen. She's an extreme example of surgical enhancement gone wrong, for surely not even in the capital could they find this face attractive. The skin has been pulled back tightly and tattooed with black and gold stripes. The nose has been flattened until it barely exists. I've seen cat whiskers on people in the capital before, but none so long. The result is a grotesque, semi-feline mask, which now squints at us distrustfully. Cressida takes off her wig, revealing her vines. Tigris, she says. We need help. After a few seconds of pressing silence, Cressida adds, Plutarch said you could be trusted. Tigris peers at us, as if trying to figure us out. I step forward and pull off my wig and unwrap the scarf from my face. She slinks down off her stool and disappears behind a rack of fur-lined leggings. There's a sound of sliding, and then her hand emerges and waves us forward. Boggs goes first and I follow right behind. It's a small cellar with no doors or windows. Shallow and wide. Probably just a strip between 2 real basements. A place whose existence could go unnoticed unless you had a very keen eye for dimensions. It's cold and dank, with piles of pelts that I'm guessing haven't seen the light of day in years. Unless Tigris gives us up, I don't believe anyone will find us here. At the end of the cellar, there's a faucet about a foot from the floor with a drain under it. I turn the tap and, after much sputtering and a lot of rust, clear water begins to flow. I check everyone's wounds, starting with Boggs. He is horribly pale and his bandage is completely soaked through. I don't see how we can keep him moving any further without killing him. We make a bed of pelts, strip off his layers of weapons, and help him onto his back. I make a tourniquet for him after debating with myself over it. It might kill the leg. If I don't do it, he'd probably bleed out. I give him a painkiller and wipe the sweat of his brow. He's only barely can see us and I can't imagine the effort it must have cost him to keep upright until now. You can sleep. It's okay. Cressida and Pillars have made beds for us, arranged our food and medical supplies. With Boggs out like a light, we turn to Gale for what to do. He looks about as exhausted as I feel as he runs his hands through his hair. I don't honestly think there's any point in setting up a guard. Let's just try to get some sleep. We all nod somewhat numbly and burrow into our pelts. I slip into an uneasy, nightmare-riddled sleep. Kashmir reminds me she wanted to see Snow choke on his own blood, then says she'll settle for me instead. Messala reprimands her about the bad lighting as she picks over an assortment of knives that I recognize as cloves. I try to tell them I'm sorry, but it won't come out. Then they are gone and Olive is leading me through a mine, only she keeps disappearing. Just when I think we're almost out, I wake with a start. I'm more exhausted than when I fell asleep. Cressida tells me it's late afternoon, and Gale hands me a can of lamb stew. The others are still asleep, or in boxes likely unconscious. I bite my lip, my hand on his forehead. He's burning up. There's no way he can keep moving. So what do we do? Gale asks. I barely manage to stop myself from breaking down in tears. I don't know. Wait it all out. Cressida suggests, though I can tell the mere suggestions rankles. I would like to stay here, actually, not see any more of the horrors of war. But we don't have that kind of time. Boggs doesn't have that kind of time. I shake my head. No. We go kill Snow. We have to end it. Once everyone is awake, we decide that Castor will stay with Boggs. He isn't thrilled with that, but he's in the worst state out of the rest of us, and we need someone to take care of Boggs. Tigris calls us up to share what little food she has, and we learn the capital has figured out that we 6 have survived. That just makes us only moving on with 4 of us even more plausible. Tigers fills us in on the advances the rebels have made and the evacuation. When I peek out through the blinders, I see masses of people on the move. We're as rested as we'll ever be, so we decide we will head out, hidden among the refugees. Tigris agrees to keep Boggs and Castor as safe as she can manage. Then she spends the next hour remaking the 4 of us that will head into the streets. She redresses us so regular clothes hide our uniforms before we even don our coats and cloaks. Covers our military boots with some sort of furry slippers. Secures our wigs with pins. Cleans off the garish remains of the paint we so hastily applied to our faces and makes us up again. Drapes our outerwear to conceal our weapons. Then gives us handbags and bundles of knickknacks to carry. In the end, we look exactly like the refugees fleeing the rebels. Never underestimate the power of a brilliant stylist, I say. It's hard to tell, but I think Tigris might actually blush under her stripes. I barely manage to rouse Boggs long enough to tell him I'll be back for him. He takes a hold of my arm, shaking his head, but is so weak he couldn't hope to hold me back. Don't, Prim. Stay safe. I'll stay alive, I tell him, forgetting for a moment that it isn't him who always tells me so. Haymitch's face flashes through my mind, then Dad's. I shake it off. Now's not the time to get sidetracked. You just stay alive, too, yeah. He's passed out again before I even make it to the stairs. We all check we have our nightlock tablets in reach. Then we move out. Cressida and Pillars are ahead of Gale and I, acting as guides but keeping a safe distance. We make it pretty far into the city center before the bullets start raining down. The rebels are here, all right. Pouring onto the avenue, taking cover in doorways, behind vehicles, guns blazing, hoarse voices shouting commands as they prepare to meet an army of peacekeepers marching toward us. Caught in the crossfire are the refugees, unarmed, disoriented, many wounded. A pod's activated ahead of us, releasing a gush of steam that parboils everyone in its path, leaving the victims intestine pink and very dead. After that, what little sense of order there was unravels. As the remaining curlicues of steam intertwine with the snow, visibility extends just to the end of my barrel. Peacekeeper, rebel, citizen, who knows? Everything that moves is a target. I'm screaming, wordlessly, running, not looking at what I stumble over at every step, willing myself to pretend it's debris, staggering on, Gale dragging me further every time I falter, and I can't stop screaming. This is the game's amplified by 1,000. I can't even hear myself, but my throat is already hoarse. Then we're in the city circle. It's full of people milling around, wailing, or just sitting and letting the snow pile up around them. I fit right in. I begin to weave my way across to the mansion, tripping over abandoned treasures and snow-frosted limbs. About halfway there, I become aware of the concrete barricade. It's about 4 feet high and extends in a large rectangle in front of the mansion. You would think it would be empty, but it's packed with refugees. Maybe this is the group that's been chosen to be sheltered at the mansion. Cressida is suddenly there again, and she slaps me across the face without a word. I fall silent, and can start to think again. Everyone inside that barricade is a child. toddlers to teenagers. Scared and frostbitten. Huddled in groups or rocking numbly on the ground. They aren't being led into the mansion. They are penned in, guarded on all sides by peacekeepers. I know immediately it's not for their protection. If the capital wanted to safeguard them, they'd be down in a bunker somewhere. This is for Snow's protection. The children form his human shield. They are handing kids to the front. They still think they'll open the gates for them. Maybe he will. Because then he can keep them so close to his person that no one would dare fire a gun in his general direction. Gale understands instantly. No. Prim, don't even think about it. But Cressida is already hoisting me up and forward, and then capital refugees pass me along with their own children. I'm small for my age, and it finally comes in handy. When I drop down among the other children, no one spares me a second glance, even as I move closer and closer to the gates. That's when the hovercraft appears above us and the parachutes start floating down. Time seems to slow down so much it could stop just as well. All around me, children reach towards the gifts. I'm frozen in place, staring up at the silver containers as they glide downwards, my own hand half raised. It seems like another dream, another nightmare. Then an arrow connects with one of the parachutes midair and it explodes. A vague memory of BT and Gale and hummingbirds pushes itself into my mind as I throw myself down and take cover, dragging the nearest kids to the ground with me. There's screaming everywhere and more explosions above us. The heat on my back is unbearable as the fireballs erupt mere meters from us. Peacekeepers and rebels alike are taking the small bombs out still in the air, but some make it down. The barricades are torn down and the children are crying and begging and running and bleeding, and there's those for whom every help comes too late. There is panic and death all around, refugees and medics streaming in to rescue those that still breath. Someone tears my burning jacket of me and pulls me to my feet, telling me I need to let go. Only then do I realize I'm still clutching onto the boy next to me, and he's not reacting. A piece of shrapnel is embedded in his neck. I can help him, I say, but they pull him away. I wind out of the medic's grasp and turn back towards the gates. Getting there was the last conscious decision I made, and a part of me thinks that as long as I keep moving, everything will be okay. The fire has stopped raining down, and attention is shifting elsewhere. People are screaming for Snow's blood. Peacekeepers turn to drag down the gates to the mansion. I move with them, squeezing through as soon as the gap is big enough, ignoring the shouts behind me. I'm running at full tilt towards the mansion. Before I can even begin to wonder how I will get the massive mahogany doors open, they swing apart. Covered in filth from days in the sewers, blood and gore riddling every part of them, Johanna and Olive stagger into the open. One of them, in their state, it's hard to tell who, but I think it's Johanna, is missing most of her right arm. Their teeth are disturbingly visible, almost too white against the grime on their faces, bared in more snarl than smile. Everyone freezes and stares. Then Olive raises her hands in the gesture of victory those from two always use, and Johanna yanks up her remaining arm, Snow's head dangling from her hand by his hair. A savage cheer runs through the crowd. Underscore 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 underscore. I wake up with a pounding in my head and a horribly dry mouth. I have vague memories of drifting in and out of consciousness for some time, but I couldn't say how long I've been out. I'm lying on my stomach in what I assume must be a hospital bed. Most of my back doesn't hurt much, which makes me quite nervous. It should hurt, and badly, unless the burns are actually severe enough to damage my subcutis and pain receptors. I blink and push myself up as high as I can manage. "Hello, sweetheart," Effie greets me. "I sent your mother off to get some sleep. How are you feeling?" I try to talk, but only a rasping sound comes out. Effie helps me sit up properly and gives me some water. After taking a few sips I clear my throat and try again. "Okay, I guess. So it's all over." Effie nods. "Most of it. There's some trials now and such things." She waves her hand dismissively, but there's a glint of worry in her eyes. I don't press the subject. Whatever regime Coin is busy setting up, it's not likely to be much kinder than the one we just overthrew. Talking about it right now has no point. I look around the room in search of another subject. There's a girl of about 4 curled up in an armchair near the door, fast asleep and her red hair disheveled. I raise an eyebrow at Effie. Who's the kid? She smiles at me sadly. Ariana. Emmanuel's daughter. He managed to put her in hiding before she trails off and shakes her head. I found her 2 days ago. No one seems to know what happened to her mother. I'm her legal guardian for now. We're trying to get permanent custody. I accept that with a nod, slowly sinking back onto the bed. I can't believe sitting up could be this exhausting. Is Boggs all right? He's fine, Effie assures me. They're already fitting him for a prosthetic leg. I nod, thinking I should go see him, but before that idea is fully formed, I'm already drifting off again. Underscore 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 underscore. Mum's spreading copious amounts of burn ointment on my back when the knock on the door comes. The war has been over for weeks, but now they apparently have need of me again. At least they give me enough of a heads up that I can get properly dressed. I spent most of my time in a hospital gown. Mum has to help me into the clothes as if I'm a toddler. I can't lift my arms properly, the puckered, pink skin on my back protests at every wrong move. I debate myself on whether to ask her to braid my hair to cover up the bald spot at my nape. It's purplish where the wig melted into my skin. I think of the ragged stump of Johanna's arm, of a voxed gloss, of Boggs and his new prosthetic leg, and decide against it. The room is already filled when Mum and I arrive, everyone seated at a long table. Gloss, Hamish, Inoberia, Finnick, Annie, Brutus, Lime, Chaff, BT, Liz, Gaia and Johanna. Not an assortment of victors that makes a lot of sense. Then Olive, Madge, Katniss, Peter, Sapphire, Glamour, Curie, Liz's niece Tia, Johnsa, and Demeter. My sister gives me a small, uncertain smile. It takes me a moment to make a connection. We all survived the games. But that doesn't explain why we've been assembled. What's going on? I direct the question at Hamish. He shrugs. They got all the victors together. My confusion must show at this because Johnsa helpfully elaborates, vaguely waving at her half of the table. They granted us victor status. But that wasn't what threw me. I look around the room and realization dawns. That's it. We're all that's left. All victors left alive by the end of the war, Cohen said. Her smug smile comes back to me full force. The price of celebrity, says BT. We were targeted from both sides. The Capitol killed the victors they suspected of being rebels. The rebels killed those thought to be allied with the Capitol. Cohen follows me into the room, Boggs and Tinker right behind her. Cohen raises her eyebrows at my mother's presence, but then she simply shrugs it off. I've asked you here to settle a debate. Snow is dead. In the previous weeks, hundreds of his accomplices in the oppression of Panem have been tried and now await their own deaths. However, the suffering in the districts has been so extreme that these measures appear insufficient to the victims. In fact, many are calling for a complete annihilation of those who held capital citizenship. However, in the interest of maintaining a sustainable population, we cannot afford this. I catch Hamish's eyes as she talks. He looks about as nervous as I feel. So, an alternative has been placed on the table. Since my colleagues and I can come to no consensus, it has been agreed that we will let the victors decide. A majority will approve the plan. No one may abstain from the vote, says Cohen. What has been proposed is that in lieu of eliminating the entire capital population, we have a final, symbolic Hunger Games, using the children directly related to those who held the most power. What, says Johanna. We hold another Hunger Games using capital children, says Cohen. Are you joking, asks Peter. No, I should also tell you that if we do hold the games, it will be known it was done with your approval, although the individual breakdown of your votes will be kept secret for your own security, Cohen tells us. Was this Plutarch's idea, asks Hamish. It was mine, says Cohen. It seemed to balance the need for vengeance with the least loss of life. You may cast your votes. No. Finnick bursts out. No, you can't even think of that. Why not? Johanna retorts. It seems very fair to me. Snow even has a granddaughter. I vote yes. Cassandra's 11, I say. It's absolutely beside the point, but I say it anyway. Inoberia shrugs. So what? We have to get it all set up first, anyways. She'll be old enough. That wasn't her point, Annie says. Right, Prim. Right, I echo. We can't have another Hunger Games. It's sick to even talk about this. Lime leans towards Coin across the table, looking almost disinterested. What gives you the right to propose such an idea? I am the president, she replies. Lime cocks her head to the side. Strange. I don't seem to remember voting. In a war situation, an emergency government. Thing is, Lime cuts her off, we're no longer in a war situation. Are we? I get up at this, internally thanking Lime for thinking of this. Sidetracking this insane conversation. Lime's right. How about we hold that vote first? And then see what the president has to say. Coin obviously catches the implication that it won't be her mouth thinning into a line. I have allowed you free rein in many things, Soldier Everdeen. Do not test me. You victors have no actual authority. Unless you want us to cover your ass, that is, I point out. We're not going to back you in an election. Why should we back you on this? I don't give her a chance to reply. I was the face of your cause. I won't be the face of your campaign. It'll make people wonder. Unless they don't see you. No one knows how severe your burns really were. Her voice is soft, calm, and reminds me of Snow far too much. Not that he usually threatened me with my own death as she is doing now. A few victors get to their feet at the insinuation, and Coin pulls her gun almost lazily. I swallow hard but don't back down. I've had more guns pointed at me than most people. I can handle it. I'd rather have her shoot me than allow another Hunger Games. You can't kill us all, Johanna says. Coin smirks, not taking her eyes off me. If she had, she would have noticed Boggs stepping away from her side, ready to act. Tinko's gaze is flicking around the room, uncertain where his loyalties should lie. Maybe I don't have to, Coin remarks. I steel myself, drawing in a deep breath. If the choices are the games or you shooting me, you will have to shoot me. The gunshot echoes through the room before anyone can say anything else. A few things register at once, like flashes that don't really connect in my mind. The round mark on Coin's forehead, looking surprisingly innocent. Boggs's empty gun holster. My mother, pale and shaking. She lowers the gun slowly. As if surprised to find it in her hand at all. I try to speak but nothing comes out. I don't know what I could say anyways. Annie is covering her ears, Katniss is mumbling about mutts under her breath, Madge has an oddly serene smile on her face. Boggs is the first to actually speak. Marigold, give me the gun, dear. And suddenly, Olive starts laughing like a madwoman, gets up and hugs my mother. That was brilliant, Mrs. E. Bloody brilliant. It might just be the most inappropriate reaction you could possibly have, but I feel laughter bubbling up in my own chest. It spreads through us victors, from soft, unsure giggle Johnson to roaring, tabling slapping boom Brutus to tears in the eyes, barely even making a sound anymore cackle Johanna. Haymitch gets up and locks the door, calmly returning to the table. So? We'd best figure out how to play this to the public. I look down at my hands as Plutarch speaks, not really listening to a word he says. It's mainly lies, anyway. All I have to do is keep my face schooled into a solemn look while he gives Coin's eulogy. The heroic leader who brought us all peace, tragically murdered by a last remaining Capitol loyalist. Very, very sad. But I guess Coin got that matter she was always hoping for. Underscore 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 underscore. We all leave the capital within days of the funeral. I think Plutarch wanted us out of his hair to arrange the election for a new president. Whatever the reason, I'm glad to be allowed to leave. Victor's village becomes quite crowded, and it's absolutely wonderful. We're a cobbled together community that feels more like family than neighbors. Peter and his brothers start baking again, Katniss and Gale take up hunting together, and the whole village ends up having most meals together. It's times like this that give me hope that all of Panem might be okay, one day. We're all from completely different backgrounds, yet here we are. Do I use one fork for everything? Ariana asks perplexed, the first time we all get together. Where do I turn in leftovers? Bane wants to know once he's done. Can we really have one each? Posey says, eyes wide in wonder as Peter brings out freshly baked cupcakes. Still, they're instant friends, the way only small children can. Underscore 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 underscore. We're all still piecing ourselves together. There's times when Katniss will spend days at a time at Madge's or Peter's because she doesn't trust herself in the same house with me. Sometimes I'll look out the window at night and see Peter sleeping on his porch, since even with all windows open, he feels trapped inside a room. I still have marks on my arms and wake up screaming. But day by day, week by week, we get better. Underscore 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 underscore. 6 months after we left the capital, President Paler invites me to the unveiling of the first memorial for the fallen tributes. They chose to start with my arena, since it was those games that gave them their Mockingjay. I spend hours on the phone with Olive, days debating it with Peter, trying to figure out whether I should go. Then, Katniss reaches out to squeeze my hand. I'll come with you, little duck. If you want. It's been so long since she called me that I start crying. But I decide I can bear it with her there. Paler warned me she invited all families of the tributes, but I still don't feel prepared. Nero greets me happily. His mother gives me a smile but sticks back when she sees the look on her daughter's face. Julia hasn't forgiven me, and I can't say I blame her. Thresh's sister and mine strike up conversation. Olive drags Johanna to the demolished remains of the cornucopia and they sit in the grass without speaking until the event is over. Peter gets on surprisingly well with Marvel's little brother. Toby is extremely happy to finally get to speak to me. Rue's oldest sister, Heather, joins us but barely speaks. We hold hands for most of the ceremony. The other kids, their parents decided, are too young to be allowed to come here. We stay in touch from then on. Underscore 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 underscore. I don't know when I started referring to Boggs as my dad. In fact, I didn't realize I was doing it. Lorelias points it out to me at Madge and Gale's wedding. He grins at me over his champagne. I told you so 3 years ago. So what? I say. I don't really know what to tell him. I'm not sure what to think of it myself, now that I'm actually aware of it. Nero simply rolls his eyes, but he does it with a fond smile. Just say, Relias, you were right. You're always right and you're a genius. I'm serious. If you don't tell him he's right, he'll keep banging on about it. It's not my fault you're always wrong, dear Relias says and turns to me expectantly. So? You were right, Relias, I say as I push my chair away from the table. Now, I'd best get back to my family. Warmth spreads through my entire body as I make my way towards them. My mum, my sister, my little brother and my dad. Underscore 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 underscore. What? I say into the phone, not entirely sure I heard right. I can practically hear Olive roll her eyes on the other end of the line. Be my maid of honor. It's pretty straightforward, honestly, woman. You want me to be your maid of honor? I repeat, although she has stated it pretty clearly. Twice. I mean, yes, totally, I'd be thrilled. But, and don't get me wrong, I kinda assumed you'd head to the capital and get one of those drunken eloping type marriages. Olive laughs at that. I know, right? We're growing up. She pauses for a moment. Also, my mum would straight up murder us both if we did that. And what about Nero? I say. Well, he's my best man, obviously, she says. But since Joe decided she wants Finnick and Effie, I decided I'm getting a second in there, too. Gee, now I feel really honored, I shoot back. I'm smiling for the rest of the day, though. Underscore 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 underscore. I'm 24 by the time I actually get to vote in a presidential election the first time. Since you have to be 21 for that and they serve 4-year-long terms, I missed the last 3. I backed Paler both times she ran, though. A District 10 rebel leader served the term after her, but decided not to run for a second time. Not that I would have considered voting for him, anyways. Not with Madge in the running. In the end, she wins by a landslide. Posey makes me dye her hair in her party's colors for Inauguration Day, and is thrilled to find she started a trend in the capital. Johanna calls Gail the First Lady all day long. He's less than thrilled when that catches on, too. Underscore 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 underscore. I wipe my sweaty hands on my skirt, redoing my pinned up do for the 5th time. My heart is racing more than it should. Rory steps up and presses a kiss against my temple. Relax, Primi. It's okay. There's no more reapings, remember? I nod and laugh shakily. It still doesn't feel real sometimes. I know, he mumbles, resting his chin on my shoulder. But Willow doesn't know it any other way, and we don't want to ruin her birthday, do we? Every 12th birthday in our circle has been attended by adults so tense they might be going to war instead. Posey's was too close to the war, Petra's was a reminder of the fight to ensure she never, not one day, feared a reaping. Annie and Finn's Milo was not born until after the war, and we still found a way to be uncomfortable when he turned 12. It was the same for Elsa Hawthorne and for her younger twin brothers. It was the same for the oldest of the Cantwell Mason girls. It was the same for every kid so far, and it'll be the same for every one of the kids with their 12th birthday still to come. I suppose it's just a sick habit by now. Or because it makes all the memories rise up again, the ones we keep at bay as best we can. Whatever the reason, we all have to work very hard on those days to keep it together. But I don't want to ruin my niece's birthday, so I call up the stairs. Ambrose. Reuben. Come on, we're leaving. We're in the middle of a game, my eldest shouts back. I roll my eyes at Rory, and with a smirk he pulls our trump card. Uncle Peter baked the cake himself. The boys are down the stairs and out the house so fast we actually have to hurry to catch up with them.